Welcome to video 2 of the Ultimate Coaching Bootcamp. Thanks for making it back. I'm so excited because in this video, we are going to be talking about creating your program. Now, every step of this process is extremely important. First, we talked about the ideal you and creating the person that you need to be able to be an amazing coach. And then secondly, we talked about your ideal client, really understanding who it is that you're going to be able to help in the world so that you can create something that's really dynamic for them. And tonight, what we're going to talk about is creating your dynamic, amazing program. As we go throughout this video, feel free to take notes. Feel free to pause the video if you have any questions that you need answered, because I'm going to be asking you a lot of questions. Again, this is a working program. This is a boot camp. I want to make sure that by the time you finish this video series, you have a coaching program that is ready, is dynamic, and it's ready to be launched. So let's jump in. So when we start talking about creating your program, what we're really talking about is creating your signature system. Your very own system that gets people through a journey from a starting point to a final result. So again, we're going to go back to what we spoke about before. What's the problem that you solve? What is it that you are the answer to? That is going to be the number one way that you create success, if you keep that in the back of your mind at all times. So when we start talking about creating the program, it's important to remember it's a journey. Your clients, whether they're working one-on-one, whether they're doing it in a group coaching program, whether they're doing it on an online coaching program where you're doing videos or webinars where you give people an opportunity to watch it at their own time and kind of do their own studying with it, whatever it is, it's important for you to remember that you are taking them on a journey. And at the end of that journey is a specific result that you want them to have. And if you can keep your eye on the result that you want them to have, that's going to be the key to creating an amazing journey that'll keep people coming back over and over and over, and they will refer all of their friends to your program over and over and over and over again. So let's start there. What I usually hear people say is, oh my gosh, either I'm so overwhelmed, I don't know where to start, or people say, well, I'm gonna, this is, my client and this is what I want to help them to do, and I'm gonna, kind of take them through, and they get all discombobulated and they can't think of what they want to say or what they want to do or how they want to do it, and it's all because they're doing it in the wrong order. So we always want to start with the end first. The end first. So when that person walks out of your office or when that person gets done with your coaching program, there's a specific result they're going to have. I want you to write out what that result is, and you should be able to write it out within one sentence. So at the end of my first coaching program that I created, the result that I wanted to create for my members, I wanted them to have a specific plan of action that they would be on that would help them move from employee to entrepreneur. And I knew that there were specific things that they needed to have in that action plan, and that was going to be my signature program. That was what I was going to take them through, right? One of the things that I knew that they needed was they needed to create a product or a service. So they needed to create a coaching program, or they needed to create, a book or an audio, something that could create income, where they could start creating income outside of just what they were making in corporate America. And we were going to take that product based off of their own expertise. That was kind of the journey I had them on, but the result at the end of the day was that they were going to have a specific plan that they could follow, even if I am not around. But see, because that's the thing. Yes, you want your clients to come back to you over and over and over again, but they shouldn't be coming back to you for the same exact thing over and over and over again. You should be such a powerful coach that when people leave you, they still want to work with you, but they want to work with you because you're now teaching them something else. We'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of this video, but just kind of keep that in mind, that your program needs to be so powerful that people can do it without you. If you are working with a coach right now and everything that you do, you still have to rely on them, have you really grown? And this is what we're about. We're about helping to change the world. We're about helping people to create growth in their lives. So you want to create a program where people can have systems that they can use to get to the next level. So what's the result? What's that result? The next step that I would like for you to think about is, where are they starting? Now, you guys should have a great foundation for where they're starting because you completed your ideal client profile. If you didn't, go back, watch the video, and make sure that you do it now. But you want to look at the foundation. So where are they now? So for my first coaching program, when I had to look at where are they now, I looked at, these people go to work every day for 8 hours a day. They hate their jobs. However, they do have expertise. And one of the things I also noticed about every single one of my ideal clients, very few of them had no idea what they wanted to do. Only like one or two were like, I don't really know what I wanted to do. And what I did was I added in a specific coaching for those people where I could help them to kind of hone in on their purpose and their passion and what it was that they really wanted to do based off of the decisions that they've made in their life and the things that they're really, really interested in. So it actually gave me kind of a spin-off training. But I realized that for the most part, when people came to me, they had an idea of what it was that they wanted to do. They just had to figure out how to do it. So think about it for your clients. Where are they right now? What are the feelings that they have every day? What are the things they say to themselves? What's that result they want you to help them to get to? But what is keeping them in the spot that they're in right now? Because if you can figure out what's keeping them in that spot, you can then create something to get them out of that hole. And if you were able to do it on your own as well, if you were able to fix that exact problem, now you have a system to follow. You just lay out your system. So we start with the result that they want to have at the end, and then we move to, okay, so where are they starting now? And then what you want to do is you want to create a journey for that person. Some people think about it as like a hill. You know, this is the starting point, this is the ending point, and what's the journey they're going to go on? Could be a straight line for you, whatever it is. Visual is memorable. Say that with me. Visual is memorable. So draw it out on your paper. You know, have that starting point, have that result, and then think about creating little ticks along to say, okay, so what do they need to do first? What do they need to do second? What do they need to do third? That's where you're going to start creating your program. I recommend having 4 to 6 steps. 4 is perfect because it's easy to use. It's easy for people to remember. You're not overwhelming your clients. There's only a couple really major steps, and then I'm going in depth with each one of them to make sure that you really get everything that you need out of each of those steps. But you don't want to have a 10-step program. If you do have a 10-step program, then perhaps you need to break your program up into 2 different sections, right? Everybody doesn't need to know everything at once because they'll get overwhelmed. So you want to break it down into things that are easily chunkable for them. And that's not like to look down at your client. It actually helps your client, and it gives you more programs that you can create so that you're not stuck doing the same thing over and over and over again as well. One way that you can look at how to create your program or how to create those steps is if you are already coaching people, or my favorite, if people are already coming to you for advice. I guarantee you when people come to you for advice on a specific subject, usually you give them very similar answers. If you don't, I don't know why. But usually the answers are very, very similar. And I noticed that with myself when people would come to me for advice on either, how to write a book or how to become a speaker or how to, create a business that they wanted to do or how to start creating a profit from their passion. With all of those things, when people came to me and they asked me for advice on it, I realized after a while that I was giving the same advice to people over and over and over and over again. If you were giving that same advice to people over and over and over again, there's your coaching program. You already have that expertise. So write out the steps that you give to people that will help them get to whatever it is that they want to achieve or to help them to get to the next level. So I want you to take a moment and start there. That's going to be the outline of your coaching program. Where are they starting? What are the specific steps they need to take? And then what's the end result that they're going to have? And within that, you're going to create something really, really special. Okay, so once you have your outline for what your coaching program is going to look like, I want you to take a moment and for each of those steps, okay, so steps 1 through 4, or steps 1 through 6, however many steps that you have for your program, for each one, I want you to sit down and I want you to list everything that they need to know about that subject. Every single thing. So if I'm doing, for instance, the last video we just did, I did an ideal client, kind of survey, and how do you do that, And so the first thing I said was, well, you got to think about who your ideal client is, right? So that would be the first thing, kind of just writing and getting it all out about who you think that person is. The second thing I had you do is take away all of your limitations, because when we start thinking about our ideal client, we put on our own limitations about who we think will give us money, and that's based off of our own beliefs, sometimes our own insecurities, our own unworthiness. So I went to, okay, now take the filters off and look again at who your ideal client is. Thirdly, I had you look at the exact problem that it was that they have that you are going to solve, right? I actually had you do a meditation so that you could figure out exactly, you could get a clear idea, so there's an activity in there. So when you're thinking about everything that needs to happen when it comes to that specific step, think about the knowledge they need. You want to think about activities that'll help them to get a deeper understanding. You want to think about what are the questions that you can ask them to help them get a deeper pull. Because when it comes to coaching, you want to do things like chunking up and chunking down, where you're helping people to go deeper, because especially when people first meet you, they give you very, 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 very vague answers. So how are you going to take them deeper? How do you help them to get to the deepest level so that you can create massive change right away? Think about that. So with each one of those steps, you want to break it down just like that. What's everything they need to know about that topic? What's every question you need to know as a coach to be able to give them answers? What's every activity that you can think of that would help them get a deeper understanding? Because I heard this a long time ago, and I still use it to this day. What we hear, we forget. What we experience, we remember. So I always say, create amazing experiences. Create amazing experiences, and that's where your activities come to play. Now, this is a video coaching program, so we can't do as many activities. However, I can have you do some meditations. I can have you do some writing exercises, some things that'll take you deeper. But if you are doing a one-on-one coaching program, or you're doing a one-on-one group, not one-on-one, if you're doing a group coaching program, what are the specific activities that you can have them do that'll actually take them a little bit deeper? And that's where homework comes into play as well. When they leave that session, what do you want them to do next by the time they get to the next session? These are all of the different things you want to think about. So you're going to take that, you're going to outline that for every single step within the process. Every single step. Now that you have completed doing your outline and you've gone deeper, you've thought about, okay, what exactly do they need to know about each of these subjects that are going to make them get that result that you intend for them to have by the end of your coaching program. Next, what I want you to do is I want you to start looking at what are the different ways you can deliver this program. What are the different ways? Usually when people think coaching, the first thing they think is one-on-one. And that's the way that I started. Very, very profitable. But there are multiple ways that you can deliver a coaching program. So let's just talk about some of them. There's one-on-one, where you're meeting with me one-on-one. We're coaching. I'm helping you directly through your problem. I still do a lot of one-on-one coaching. People come to me and they're asking me everything from how to set up their website for their business to getting editors for their book to, do you like this cover even, that kind of thing. So that one-on-one time, that's one way that you can have your coaching program. The next thing is a group coaching program where it's one-to-many. You are coaching a group of people at the same time. Now, all of my group coaching programs are always called masterminds. because I really respect masterminds, and masterminds changed my own life. And so I wanted to create an environment where people were coming with other people who want to get to the next level, and they're going to also be able to serve each other. So they're going to give each other ideas for what they can do for their business. So I formed all of my group coaching programs as masterminds. The next thing, they're virtual group coaching programs. Now you can do a group coaching program virtually, and you can do one-on-one coaching virtually. You can also do something where you create virtual videos that you put up on a website, and then perhaps people can then email you or chat with you to ask you questions if they have questions. You can do a mix of all of these things. You can have a one-on-one coaching program where they have videos that they have to watch to complete assignments that you have for them, but then they can coach and ask you questions one-on-one, maybe once a month. I was a part of a coaching program where I got one one-on-one meeting with the coach in the span of a year. And this was a very, very high level coaching program. It was about $17,000, but I got one interview with that person, the coach, once per year, but I also got 6 calls per year, where if I were at an event and I had a question about something and I needed his help, I could call him and he would answer my question about the best way to deal with the situation. And that was actually very, very helpful, starting off as a speaker in this industry. And then he had mastermind meetings throughout the year. So he had about, I think, 4 mastermind meetings throughout the year, which were like fall, summer, spring, that kind of thing. So it was a year-long program again. And then he had events throughout the year. He had seminars throughout the year, which I also had access to for the entire year. And so that's how that coaching program was set up. And it was almost like a blend of all of those. So don't think that you have to stick to one. Yours can be one-on-one and group coaching, and you can have, video conferencing, and you can have telephone coaching. It can be however you want it to be, but the key is I want you to start thinking about, if I were to implement this, how would I do? So the best way to do it is, okay, you have an outline, and for the most part, it's not going to really change. You can do that same outline, whether it's group, online, however you want to do it. And so what I always say is create 4 or 5 different sheets of paper of all the different ways that you're thinking about rolling out this program. So the first one may be one-on-one coaching. And so I want you to jot down, if I were doing this program with someone one-on-one, how would I want that to look? Would I, where would we meet if we're meeting one-on-one? Is it going to be in person? Is it going to be on the phone? Is it going to be at their house? Is it going to be at my house? Because you believe it or not, things like that matter. When I first started coaching, and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just kind of like, hey, I have these amazing tools. I just got NLP certified. I can help you, change things. The pain that you have around memories from your past. That was the big thing I really wanted to help people when I started doing like my one-on-one coaching, my very first coaching program. And what I found was that, I was a brand new coach, and I was meeting people, and telling them, networking about this program. However, when it came down to, when people would say, well, where do we meet? I didn't feel comfortable bringing a complete stranger into my home. And then I would say, well, I can come to your home. Well, they didn't feel comfortable with a complete stranger coming to their home either. So then I tried, I was like, well, hey, we'll meet at Starbucks, and things like that can work depending upon the type of program. What I find is if you're trying to do coaching and you're going to places like Starbucks, you're taking it to somebody else's neighborhood, if you will, or you're taking it to somebody else's home, which you can't control. You can't control how many people are at Starbucks. You can't control how loud it is. You can't control who's sitting at the next table. People may not feel comfortable talking about their issues or their problems with someone sitting next to the table. So these are all the little things that you want to think about. None of these things means that it can't be done. It just means it has to be done in a way that is effective for you at the end of the day. So I want you to think about, okay, if I wanted to, I know I want to work with people one-on-one. How do I want to do that? So if you want people to come to your home, okay, great. So I have an office, I have this, or this can be my section, my place where I come and I coach people. If I want to do it at their homes, what am I going to need to do to make that happen? Think about all of those things. With my coaching program, at one point, I got to a point where I was traveling to other people's houses, and they liked it, my Employed Entrepreneur Program. People, when they signed up for one-on-one coaching, people actually really, really, really liked it that I would come and offer to come to their home and work with them on that. And that's fine. You do want to factor in things like gas. If you're driving an hour this direction, an hour that direction, an hour back this direction, and you're basically driving all day because you're going around coaching people, that's fine, but you want to take all of those things into consideration. That's the point I'm trying to make, is know what you're kind of getting yourself into, however you want to do that. If you want to do your one-on-one coaching program over the phone, how many phone calls would they get? Do they get the 6 calls, or do they get to call you anytime that they want? That's something very big. The coach that I had, where I was in that huge coaching program and I could call him 6 times a year, I did not have his direct number. He did not give out his direct number. So if I wanted to get in touch with him, I had to email his assistant and say, hey, I'm having an emergency. Can I have one of my calls today? And then she would inform him. He would call from a blocked number. And the reason wasn't because he didn't care about people, but the reason was because he's like, I'm sorry, but you paid for 6 calls a year. You do not get access to me anytime that you want. Now, in my coaching program, my clients have my phone number, and I'm pretty open. Like, if I'm available and I can help you with something, I will help you, However, I'm not always available. So things like that, you want to be able to start that relationship off well, but you want to make sure that you have these things in mind before you jump in, because then what ends up happening is you find yourself in situations that you don't want to be in. And I really want to help you avoid that, because those are some of the things that I went through, where I'm like, oh, this felt okay when I was saying it, but I didn't really think through what that meant, that I was actually saying, oh, I'm going to go all across the world coaching a whole bunch of people. You want to think about that. Okay, so if you're going to do, a group coaching program, what are the requirements for being in that group coaching program? Will everybody be at the same level? Do you have different levels of your coaching program? Do they need to have, done a certain amount of work ahead of time? Is there any pre-work that you need them to have, so that you make sure that everybody's on the same page? Because there's nothing like having somebody in your coaching program and everybody else is really excelling, but they're not really doing anything because they are not there yet. I've seen that happen, and it happens, and that's part of your growth. If it does happen, for the next time, hey, I might need 2 coaching programs. I've seen that before with other coaches that I know, where they started a group coaching program and half the people were excelling, and the other half were like, I don't even know what it is I want to do for a living, or what it is that I want to sell. And everything that you're teaching sounds really great, but I'm just not there yet. And then that coach realized that she had to create a pre-program that people had to go through before they could get to what was now called her elite program. That's what she realized. And so that's why this process is so important, of you writing out, okay, if I'm doing one-on-one coaching, what does this look like with this specific program? If I'm doing a group coaching, what does this look like? If I'm doing videos, what does this look like? You want to think about all of those things, because all of that is going to make your program great, right? And then as you start looking at how you want to implement the program, you start looking at the different ways you can implement the program. Go with what feels best for you starting off. Go with what works best for you. One of the things that I did when I was first starting off, I kind of blended my mastermind. I had a mastermind program and I had a one-on-one coaching program. I started with the one-on-one coaching program. The mastermind came next. And one of the things that I found was that selling the mastermind as a bonus to the coaching program was actually a great way to get people to sign up for coaching. So when people were, because sometimes people are like, hey, I was charging $3,000 to coach with me at that time. And for some people, that was a lot of money. And they just were like, oh my gosh, I've never worked with a coach before, but I really need this change in my life. Okay, can I do this? Can I afford this? And so one of the things that I found was that, hey, not only are you going to coach with me, but as a bonus, I'm going to give you access. At that time, my mastermind was $597, so about $600. You're going to get the $600 mastermind as a bonus. You're going to get that for free. So not only do you get one-on-one with me, you're going to also get this group coaching program where you're going to learn from other people. I have entrepreneurs coming onto the line telling you their exact model for success, exactly what they went through to become a success in their lives. And it becomes became this really beautiful thing. So not only were they doing the work in the mastermind, when we got their one-on-one, we were able to discuss some of those things as well. So it was great. It was like they were surrounded by support, and people love that. So when you start looking at all the different ways you can implement the program, some of them you might want to blend. But at this point, write them all out and then choose where you want to start. Where do you want to start with this program? And the last thing I'd like to discuss with you on this video is the name of your program. So what have we done so far? We decided who the program is for. We decided exactly how we're going to help them. We know the results that they're going to get. We know where they're starting. And now you know the exact steps that they're going to take to get that result. You know how you're going to implement that program. And now you have an opportunity to come up with a name. And believe it or not, this is one of the most important parts of creating your program. Why? Because marketing is one of the most important parts of creating something that people will buy. Seriously, like everybody thinks it's like production. Oh, if I create the best product, but guess what? You can create the best product in the world, but if it has a crappy name or if people aren't attracted to it, they're not gonna purchase it. They're never gonna purchase it. You must create something that people want to purchase, and people want to purchase something that is the answer to their problem. The answer to their problem. That's what it all comes back down to. So when I came up with the title, Employee to Entrepreneur, people, I noticed their eyes started lighting up because it showed them a journey. I'm an employee. It was something that they could relate to. Oh, and she's going to help me become an entrepreneur. She's going to help me get the steps that I need to be able to start creating income so that I can leave my job. That was a great name. Now, at that time, literally nobody was talking about employee to entrepreneur. Now, every time I look around, I see people like employee to entrepreneur, employee to entrepreneur. That's okay. When you have something great, people will, and I'm not saying that people bid off of it because it is catchy and it's something that somebody else could have come up with, but just know that you may have the same name as somebody else, but people may not even know that that program exists. So come up with something that's really powerful, that talks to them about the results that they're going to make, and then you're going to actually have people being attracted to your program, and that's what you want to recreate. So here's a couple of things that you want to think about when you start talking about naming your programs. So when it comes to marketing, you always want to think about, okay, what's going to make that person almost make, what's going to make their eyes light up, right? What's going to make their eyes light up? What's that thing that touches them? So again, employee to entrepreneur. My first coaching program, I called it Into Your Dream Zone. How many people do you think signed up? 0, right? Because first of all, people were like, what's my dream zone? But I thought it was really clever. You know, you're going to step out of your comfort zone and you're going to step into your dream zone. You're going to live your dreams. I'm going to help you live your dreams. It's going to be great. Blech. People were not feeling it, you know, and they're just like, what's that? So stay away from like the cutesy stuff and come up with something that's really powerful and dynamic. For instance, and I'm not trying to like toot myself on the horn, I'm just using my own examples because you can see them. The Ultimate Coaching Bootcamp. The Ultimate Coaching Bootcamp. So Ultimate says, hey, you're going to learn everything that you need to know, right? Coaching. This is what I want to become. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to make a living, right? So she's going to help me to become a coach. In bootcamp, this is something that I'm actually going to put in some work. I was very specific about that. This is not a retreat. I host retreats. And, you know, this is not a mastermind where, you know, it's me and a bunch of people giving you ideas. This is you working it out. You are working through your program. You are working through your ideal client. You're working through your specific process. You are working through everything. This, my friend, is a boot camp, and it's kind of cool. It's kind of classy. The point of the matter is you want to come up with things like that. So think about words like greatest, ultimate, best. What is it that you're going to be helping people to do? You want to make sure that you have the answer in the title, you know, and then you want to think about how are they getting it? Is it a seminar? Is it a retreat? Is it a mastermind? Is it a club? You know, some people have their coaching programs as a club. Just what is it? And then you tie it all together and you create something really, 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 really cool. Think about the blueprint. Even that's a really great thing that you can use if you're especially if you're creating like a product or something. This is going to be your blueprint for success. So one of my friends, her brand is Fit and Fab, and so we created the Fit and Fab 10-day blueprint, and it was how to get flat abs very, very quickly. So think about things like that. How will you name your program to be something that people will automatically want to sign up for? It needs to be the answer to their problem. It needs to be shiny, meaning it needs to help them to understand that this is the best, right? This is something that they absolutely need to be a part of. And then also, what is it? You know, what is it? Where are they going to do this program? And that'll help you. So just think about that. What's going to be the name of your signature system, and what's going to be the name of your signature program? So my homework for you is to look around the industry, look within your industry and look at what coaches are calling their programs. Look within other industries, because that's one thing I see people do a lot. They're always looking in their industry. I look in other people's industries all the time. What's going on in the financial, coaching industry, and not even coaching, just what are businesses doing right now? What are ways that they are making themselves stand out? And then I take and look at it and I say, how can I do something similar to that in my own business? How can you create a title that attracts your ideal client? That's your task. Come up with an amazing title. So I hope this video was extremely helpful for you. I know we went through a lot of information, but remember, you can always go back, rewind the video, go step by step, and make sure that you get every single thing that you need when it comes to creating your signature program. Here's a couple of tips as far as not driving yourself crazy, okay? Best way I can think to come up with that. How to not drive yourself crazy. You can have several different systems, meaning there's some of you who have lots of different talents, or you're like, oh yeah, a financial advisor might be like, I want to help people manage their money. I am so much more than that. I want to help people, get into investments and things like that. Okay, that might be the path that you're taking them on, but you might have to start with creating something that helps people to manage their money, so you can create different programs. So don't make yourself crazy like, okay, I got to put all of this into one program. No, what do they need first? What do they need second? And then figure out who is willing and ready right now to do this type of program. I actually just was coaching a friend. She came to me for some advice, and I was kind of coaching her through something. And she was like, I want to show people why they need this, or why this is so important for their mental health and for creating a better life. And I said, but there are people who are already doing it. Why don't you coach those people in what they're already doing and how they can do it better, versus trying to convince people that they even need it, right? So think about it in the sense of every year people want to do cleanses, right? People want to do cleanses because we want to get our body right. Well, I was telling a fitness friend of mine, listen, you're spending a lot of time convincing people that they need to cleanse when there's thousands and thousands of people who cleanse every single year. They're just looking for the new thing. They're looking for, well, what's the new cleanse that everybody's doing? And that's the one that they're going to do. So you need to get in that market and start marketing yourself to people who are already looking to spend that type of money on that type of product or that type of system. And then once you get that going, because that's the easy sale right there, then you can start creating some programs that are teaching people on why they need to cleanse, right? Don't drive yourself crazy. Follow the system. If you follow the system, you will create something that's really, really amazing. And make sure that you tune in for the next video, because this is going to start teaching you how to make money. Money. That's what we need to keep our programs going. Yes? You want to have an amazing coaching program that brings in money. So in the next video, we're going to start teaching you how to launch your program and how to create income from it right now. Thanks for tuning in.